Hey guys, what's going on? This is Roth and Joshua here to talk a little Gotham. So we're going to dive into the fact that it seems like they've thrown a few more red herrings.
Red
yeah,
herrings,
I did it. Red herring,
for the Red Hood. Full spoilers for last night's episode.
Yes.
Is it called The Man in the Red Hood, I believe?
Yes, and it seems like, you know, they keep teasing this Joker origin story, which most of the interwebs, is assuming happened last week, and it was a very overt thing. But it seems like this week they also threw a couple other options our way. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about the episode on the whole. Joshua, kick it off. What do you think? Do you think that last week is the definitive Joker, or did they bring him in this week?
Well, one of the show runners said last week that that's the start of the Joker story.
Yes.
So we all assumed that Jerome was the Joker. I assumed that the Jerome was the Joker. But then this week they got the Red Hood, who also it's like the Joker at one point was the Red Hood in the comics.
Bruno Hellish said that, yeah.
Yeah.
Creator.
So you're thinking, oh, well, the Red Hood must have something to do. I was like, am I going to see Jerome any second? Is he going to pop up and like take the hood or something? But he didn't. Like the Red Hood was kind of a cool like gimmick of the show.
Yeah.
It was a lot easier to swallow than a lot of the other stuff they do with all the other villains. Of just they thought this hood had special powers, so they kept killing each other for it. And in the end, of course, a little kid picks it up and puts it on, and points to the police. So is that little kid going to become the Joker?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because he looked more like a teen to me. But
okay, a tween, maybe?
Maybe a tween, yeah. It was funny because I did think they were sort of messing with the audience a bit in the sense that like they introduced the first guy in the Red Hood and maybe that's him.
Who did like a little stand-up during his bank heist.
Yeah, exactly. So you're like, okay, this is the guy, this is the Joker, now shot dead. Then the next guy, okay, well, that guy doesn't look anything like the Joker. I mean, this
wasn't going to happen.
This is the Penguin 30 years from now, if anything, you know what I mean? But then he's out, and then the next guy, you're like, okay, this is the guy, because he's kind of vulnerable, little bananas, out.
Yep.
And so finally we've got...
He had a laugh, too. I was like, oh, it's the Joker. Like, nope.
He had a laugh. And then you also got the stand-up comedian at the Penguins Club,
who bombed,
right?
Yeah.
Who bombed at the club, so maybe that's another possibility. And then finally it's this youngster who picks up and does the... like Joker in the making. Do you think it's going to get a little tiring for audiences to be thrown these sort of continuous red herrings? Or should we just dive into Jerome if he's the guy? Dive into Jerome.
I don't know. It's hard to say because the show from week to week, even just like scene to scene, is all over the place. And it's sometimes I'll find an episode where I don't seem to like care about what's going on, but then sometimes I'm really interested. This Joker stuff, I am really interested in. Even if they're doing all this weird stuff to like get to wherever they're going.
So it keeps you more engaged in the episode.
I am more engaged.
Because it becomes like no, I do believe it, because for me too, it actually just becomes more of a little game, you know. Though ultimately, I think probably you're right, and it is Jerome. But
yeah, I mean, also it doesn't. I don't want to be mean, but I feel like they're not being very clever about this Joker stuff. It's just it's almost like just shoving stuff in your face. Like, oh, could this be the Joker? What about this one? You know what I mean? Like, almost like a bad magician. Like, is this your card? Is this your card? I'll get to it eventually, you know. But by then, you're not interested in the trick anymore, you know. So I don't know what the next episode's going to be. You know, we'll see. Yeah,
well, I mean, subtlety is not the order of the day. Hey, speaking of some subtlety or not, can we talk a little bit for a moment about Barbara?
Do we have to?
I think we should.
It's really awkward, right?
I mean, I really think we should. So I feel for her as a character, and I feel for the actress too. Because
you can say that with a straight face.
No, I really do, because this past week, you know, sort of her storyline's been really erratic, you know, and her characterization has been very erratic. She's quickly become spiraled to out of control, right? And there doesn't seem to be a big enough reason for this rapid of a decline in my mind, right? So, but this was the thing that really threw me off this week. She's developing this rapport, I guess, with Ivy and Selena.
Yeah.
But it got a little awkward with Selena for me, because it almost got to the point that I was like, is she hitting on her? She's a minor. Like,
yeah, that was
and I don't
really
think
weird.
she was. I don't think she was. I think it was more of like trying to be a mentor to her and teach her how to use her beauty as a weapon, or whatever it is she was advocating.
Yeah, because you're wondering, where does Catwoman get that from?
Right.
Obviously, she's like a sort of a seductress as an adult, and that's how she like winds Batman around her little cat finger. Yeah,
her little cat tail.
What cats don't have fingers? Little cat paw. Whatever.
Cat stuff.
Cat stuff. I'm not sure what I was saying, but
we were
cats don't have fingers is what I know.
But we were talking about Barbara and the idea that in that moment, were the writers actually trying to indicate that something untoward was about to happen, or do you really think it was just sort of like stage mom and pageant girl if pageant girl was a street girl?
Yeah, no, that's totally the vibe I got off of it. Maybe it wasn't the best executed scene. It was not the best executed scenes if it gave off that extra vibe, but I don't think that's what they were going for. But,
okay, what would you like to see them do with Barbara moving forward?
Probably have her, get her life back together and move away out of Gotham City. I know it's a weird thing because the character is, even in the comics, she doesn't have a lot. There's not much to the character, so they're really just inventing a new characterization for her for this show to make her a more dramatic part of the show. But she's just, it's weird, and I don't really like it. It's kind of in a weird spot. And her having this bond with these children, who she doesn't even question her in her house, is just very strange in the first place. And then she's just like palling around with them,
drinking some vodka, being a great role model. Just real quickly, we gotta head out. I know, but the other big event this week was, of course, Fish gouging out her own eyeball and crushing it as talk about cutting off your nose to spite your face. It seemed unnecessary to me. What do you think?
Very unnecessary, very disgusting. I actually had to pause it, rewind it, and watch it again because I didn't believe it just happened. Yeah. It seemed to escalate very quickly. Matt Fowler did our review on the site. Quickly. Yes, and he just they're just sort of just talking almost calmly. She's oh yeah, bah, and squish, and it's like ugh.
Yeah. Where do you think that I think that they're just trying to show that this woman is a survivor no matter what. She will not be pushed around, and she is definitely coming back. That's the feeling I got they were trying to convey with that scene. I don't think she had to gouge out her own eye. Where do you think it's heading for her?
Probably stumbling around a lot back to the basement.
One blind fish in the basement.
Yeah, I just don't even know. A lot of Batman's villains, we're seeing sort of their origin, and we know where the end point is already. She's a new character. We don't know anything about her. So maybe we're seeing what she'll ultimately become something, maybe not we already know, but a more Batman-ish, iconic looking villain with the one eye and the pink streak and the fierce nails, and I don't know.
All right, guys, those are some of our thoughts on Gotham this week. We're curious about yours. What do you think about Barbara and Fish, one-eyed Fish at this point? And who is not the Joker? Do you want them to just sort of nail that one already and move on? Leave your comments below, and for all things Gotham, keep it locked right here to IGN.